Have you considered doing
We
Zoom?
are just starting. So
Okay.
welcome to our Central Jersey Electric Auto Association meeting, which is happening right now on June 2nd, 2021. New Jersey just announced recently that we can drop the face mask. So one of the topics that I want to discuss is when can we start in-person meetings? So our agenda is we want to entertain you by talking about summer electric getaways ideas. After that, I have some chair report, and I will be joined by Tracey Woods from Sustainable Jersey. She's going to talk about the summit. Then I'll talk about New Jersey ChargeUp rebate fiscal year 22 straw proposal that I attended last week. We'll go into events planning and about, as I mentioned, the future meetings, whether we want to have virtual or in person. And I have some ideas like what's for the best EV selling dealer. I have also a call for action. So let's go for it. So, you know, and I try to really be thorough with identifying more and more ideal summer electric getaway ideas. But then I realized that as time goes by, there are so many more places where we can go with electric car, charge on en route, and actually have the benefit of destination charging. So, and these destinations could be museums, they could be beach, restaurant, or even parking garage nearby the destination where we want to go.
Or casinos.
Or casinos. So, and that's actually on this page because one of the websites that lists EV-friendly destination is, of course, ChargePoint. And here you can see that within our reach, obviously Atlantic City, but also Niagara Falls. As a matter of fact, I'm planning to go there. It's just, you know, tricky how to get there. Need maybe one stop for charge with our Chevy Bolt, but I think it's pretty exciting. There are some other opportunities I found on Blast Point website. There are 5 amazing vacation destinations. So let me click on it. Do you see the page?
Yep.
Last point. Yeah.
Okay. So what is it? It's 2020, so it's not too old. The National Baseball Hall of Fame in Cooperstown, New York. The Florida Keys, that's a hike. I wonder whether all these green spots are charging stations. That would be pretty fantastic. I think that's the case. I've been to Florida Keys a couple of times, or maybe 3 times. And it's a fantastic place. That was before I got electric vehicle. Banff National Park in Alberta, Canada. Well, okay, that's could be too far. Hershey's Park and Chocolate World in Hershey. I've been there with my electric vehicle. It's fantastic. You can charge for free. They have a limit, but I think the limit is like 4 hours and pretty much you don't want to stay in the park longer than that. Dollywood Parks and Resorts in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee. Tennessee is the state where Nissan makes Nissan Leafs. Okay, so that is it. Let me go back here. Another is Museum of Bus Transportation. This is also in Pennsylvania. It is in Hershey. It's in the same location at the same time as the Hershey's chocolate factory. And I was there and I actually didn't plan to charge because I was in the area already and I had some other opportunities, but they have free charging stations. They have destination charger dedicated for Tesla, and they have also J-Plug. It's a wonderful place. I certainly recommend it. Also, another museum. This is in Massachusetts, Plymouth Patuxent. It is nice museum. You can charge for free, 7.2 kilowatts, dual charger from ChargeUp network. And so many other places. I just want to have a conversation. Who has another experience with charging on the go? I mean, destination charging.
Atlantic City. How many people are familiar with the charging stations that are not published in Atlantic City?
I have no idea.
Okay.
Oh, please tell us about them. There's always such a need.
Well, Oceans, which you would never know, has charging stations, which are free. They're destination chargers, and they have Tesla chargers, but it's only if you go through valet parking, and it doesn't appear on any list of chargings that I've seen anywhere.
Not even on PlugShare.
I couldn't find it. Same with if you go to Borgata. They have charging stations only if you go to valet parking. And they both have, destination chargers and Tesla chargers. If you go out to the windmills, the last time I was there, they changed their free charging to only operate during business hours, like 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, which makes it almost impossible to use. Because it used to be free 24 hours a day, but they stopped that the last time I was there.
So it is electronically shut down, or it's physically blocked?
No, it's on an island that you have to go across a bridge to get to, and they have a gate closing.
So it's physically blocked. Okay.
Yeah. So you can't get. I mean, you can go there and try to talk your way in. I did that once on a Saturday because I didn't realize Saturday was not a business day, and they let me go in and charge up. So what you can do is you can go in there, you can charge up, you can walk over to Borgata if you want for a few hours, and then walk back if you want. It's a little bit of a hike, but you can do that. But I wouldn't recommend it because it's a stage 2 charger. It's very limited in how often it's available, and they keep changing the rules all the time. But the two best ones are Oceans and Borgata that I know of. And there's other things down there, like in a parking garage. There's one, I haven't used that. I've seen it. It seems to be broken all the time. And there's other ones, but for some reason, they don't show up on any of the lists of charging stations. And maybe it's because those casinos, have a draw for just the people who know. I don't know why, but they don't have it out there.
That's weird because anyone can make entry on PlugShare, and I do it all the time. Either entering charging stations that have not been listed yet, or making corrections.
Well, the reason that Ocean's got their stage 2 charger, J-plugs, is because I complained to the CEO. So you have a Tesla charger, okay, destination charger, and they flip the switch so you cannot use your adapter, which I tried. So if you go to the Tesla charging station at Oceans and try to use your adapter from your J plug for Tesla, it won't work. The last time I tried. Now, I don't know if they changed that or not. That's when I complained. The CEOs resolved it, but they never announced it. So I would go down to Oceans, I'd park in Borgata because I knew I could charge up there, go over to Oceans and play, okay, not knowing that there was a free charger there that no one ever announced. It's crazy. But now that I know about it, but when you go there and the person's going to take your car down to do it, stay in the car and go with them because they have no clue what they're doing. The last time I went, I took out my charging cord, and the guy said, "Oh, I'll plug it in." So he takes, takes the wrong end and tries to plug it into the wall. I said, "No, that's the end that goes in the car. The other end goes in the wall," which gives you an idea of how much experience they have with this. Now, I'm sure it's getting better, but I wouldn't trust it for a while.
Particularly
And
when you desperately need it. Yeah, go ahead, Tracy.
I was just going to say, one year when we were all going down for the League of Municipalities, a bunch of EV drivers, and we were all talking about, like, I said, has anybody given any thought to where you're going to charge? And then, we're all looking around on PlugShare, and we realized that there were more people in my thread than there were chargers in listed in Atlantic City. And then the thread took on this whole kind of Hunger Games vibe, like, may the odds be ever in your favor, because we realized that there were more of us. But then we did some carpooling and reduced the number of vehicles going, so it ended up being good. But just, it's a really, and a lot of people ended up going to that brewery with the ChargePoint charger outside of Atlantic City. I'm sure most of us have been there. If you don't have a Tesla, there's a supercharger right near there too.
Oh, I didn't know that one. Okay.
Oh, that's a good stop. You can get like French fries while your car is charging.
Well, the places in the casino, they're destination chargers, and usually if you're there, you're probably going to be overnight. And if you're not, and there's a stage 3 charger at Forked River, three or four of them, and you have to pay, but they work.
Okay. Who else? Alex, do you have any suggestions? Are you muted or you don't want to speak?
I'm muted, but I also don't really have any great suggestions. I wish there were more chargers up in the Northwest area where, we have the Appalachian Trail and that sort of thing, because I go up there a lot with the Scouts, and I would love to have more options. Although a lot of the times the Scout camps are pretty cooperative. They'll allow me to park my car near one of the ranger buildings and get out the extension cord, which usually is enough for me.
Well, have you tried going to campgrounds and using their NEMA plugs?
We've done that on longer road trips before, but up there in that area, like if you're staying at a Boy Scout camp or if you're going on the trailhead, you don't want to be, you usually can't hike from the, the commercial campground to wherever you're headed.
Oh, yeah.
So it's kind of hard to leave the car there overnight.
Hi.
Jason, yes, Anthony?
Hi, yes. Actually, if you go down to Washington, D.C., to the national malls or something, along the way, actually, there's a lot of level charging station near Washington, D.C., but along the way on 95, right before the Baltimore Tunnel, there's a ChargePoint fast charging station. That's, I think there's 6 spots there. They're all 62.5 kilowatt.
Wow.
And they're all free.
All free.
Yeah, and
that's a
it's
unicorn.
Always, yeah, it's always empty. But make
and
sure
it's always empty. Okay, I'm not getting
it's
it.
always empty for some
I mean,
reason.
62.5, it's not that great, but for people like, I drive Chevy Bolt. Okay, so for me, this is right on spot. I mean,
yeah, exactly.
It's actually a little bit above, but
Were you talking about Maryland House on 95? Is that what you're talking about?
That's right before the 95 Baltimore Tunnel.
Oh, okay.
There's an easy pass customer service there.
Okay.
Yeah, so
I think it must be new because I've been to Washington, D.C. In December 2019, and I would remember that if it was available.
I think it is last year when there was there already, so at least 1 year I know. But also along, if you don't take 95, say you take 895, there's another one also after the bridge. But that one, be careful, because if you get off the exit and go to charge station and you hop back on 895 again, you'll pay the toll twice. Yeah. But yeah, it's also free, but you pay the toll twice. So I would take the 95, both coming back and going down.
Interesting. Anthony, and you must be here for the first time, right? How did you hear about our group?
I don't know. It's just something pops up in my email.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I live in actually South Jersey.
South Jersey, great.
Yeah, near Delaware. So.
What do you drive?
A e-golf.
E-golf, fantastic. Yeah. Who else has some experience? Jason.
Hello.
Hello.
I have experience traveling, yes, with the car, but I've pretty much exclusively, I was thinking about it while we were talking, but 99% of the time, if not more, I've only used superchargers. I know you mentioned Niagara Falls. I've been to Niagara Falls, and I don't believe I charged there at all. Because it's only a short drive over the border and then you're walking, you're not usually driving if you're visiting Niagara Falls. So I charged on the New York side at like a supercharger, went all to Canada, did all the things there and charged back in the US.
Good. Now we have also Ben Rich on call. I'm glad that he was able to make it because normally he's attending Environmental Commission meeting on Wednesdays. Am I right, Ben?
I'm about to start it up in 9 minutes and 25 seconds. So I could share some stuff. What are you interested in particular?
So we are just talking about summer electric getaways, friendly destinations, not necessarily supercharging because that's what you can do regardless of where you go, but places where you can visit and get charged, preferably free, but not necessarily.
Oh yeah, having a destination that has the chargers there is clearly the way to go. And I think some more places are starting to figure that out. But I went to Asheville on a whim this past weekend. Like on Saturday, drove down, Sunday hung out in Asheville, and then Monday drove back up, stopped in DC to visit the World War II Memorial and the Vietnam Veterans Memorial for Memorial Day. But that was all on Tesla superchargers. But normally I charge up at the hotel and make sure that I have a hotel where I can get that full charge overnight. But I didn't. So in this case, I had to rely on the local DC fast charging network. But when I did my cross-country trips using an electric motorcycle, with an electric motorcycle, RV parks were happy to give me a charge because it's a small vehicle. But with cars, they think it's going to take a lot more time and money. And so they're a little more, maybe not hesitant is the right word, because I stopped at a RV park when I made a miscalculation on a road trip a month ago. And they were happy to have me charge, and they were just like, just drop $5 or $10 in the box.
We are talking about the car.
So like if I was going and I found a supercharger that was full, and I just kept going, not realizing that I wasn't quite going to make it to my next supercharger. And so I just went and charged up for 15 minutes at a RV park. And they were just like, yeah, just, give us a little bit of
15 minutes is nothing.
So that was a
Right.
220 volt charge?
Yeah.
Yeah, that
And
was a
you had-
220 volt charge. I only needed 10 miles of charge.
Okay.
So that's why it worked out. But like I was going to be 10 miles or a few miles short. So
are you saying it's a good idea to have, if you've got a Tesla, to have an adapter, a 220 adapter? In your car?
I always have a NEMA 1450 adapter
Okay.
and a J1772 adapter.
Yeah, I need to get one of those.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, there's I got my J1772 adapter from someone who was selling theirs, but yeah, there's that. And then I'm actually thinking about, for my summer trip this summer, I'm going to Glacier National Park, and I'm considering getting either a CHAdeMO or a CCS adapter, just in case I'm like way out in the middle of nowhere where they have CCS charging stations. Because I actually, when I went to Banff, back when Canada was available for Americans to visit, there was a visitor station in the national park that had CCS charging, and I didn't have a way to connect to it, so I was kind of bummed that I couldn't charge up quickly while I was there. So there are definitely more places that are adapting.
Expensive. Those are expensive adapters, though. I think a couple $100, right, for those.
Yeah,
I think
I got mine on eBay.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm going the other way. I have a Bolt, so I was going. I wanted to convert to Tesla, and
Yep.
that's why I got it off eBay.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, I did the same. I have the Electron. I actually used it this weekend. I actually went up to Cooperstown, not for the Baseball Hall of Fame, but they have a rail bike where you can get one of these quad bikes or two-seaters and go on these abandoned railroad lines. And it's sort of like an electric bike. As you pedal, it'll assist your pedal, so you're not doing all the heavy lifting of this pretty heavy bike, and you go down this railroad track. But I stayed at a hotel out enough to Hampton Inn in Oneonta. They had Tesla destination chargers. I plugged in with the adapter, was able to get a full charge overnight. Also, the charging machines, fast chargers that New York State's put in, they're going to put one every 50 miles along the way from New York City up to Albany. And then Albany over to Baltimore. They'll be complete by the end of this year. Those chargers actually, although they don't say it on the outside, they're actually Electrify America chargers. And so with my car, I get 3 years of free charging. I have the Volkswagen ID4, and I get 3 years of free charging, and those machines are part of the plan. So I went all the way up to Cooperstown without having to pay for any electricity.
Wow.
Very
Nice.
nice.
Are those chargers going to have both the CHAdeMO as well as the Tesla?
Each one that I saw had CHAdeMO
One of each.
as well as CCS, one of each. It's not like Electrify America that gives you 1 out of 10. It's each machine is compatible with both.
But not Tesla.
Not Tesla.
Got it. Yep.
As
Great.
far as destinations, I said Cooperstown. If you ever make your way down to Savannah, there are a couple of parking garages where you can charge for free. You have to pay for parking, but the overnight price for parking there is nothing compared to the New York, New Jersey area. The Bryan Street garage and the Whitaker Street garage are right on the street that runs along the river down in Savannah. So you get a hotel in that area, park in the garage, have a full charge by the morning. They're level 2 chargers. South Jersey, for whatever reason, doesn't seem to have a lot of fast chargers. So if you find yourself down in Cape May, Lemaire is a resort that has charging. It's really slow, but you have to pay, unfortunately. Then Congress Hall also has couple level 2 chargers. If you're in DC and you're going to pay for parking and you want free charging, you can go to DC City Center. That's a parking garage right by the Ford Theater. So it's right in the middle of everything, which is within walking distance, and you can charge there. And then if you find your way up to Montreal, and I've done that drive electric when I had a Leaf Plus, the hotel we stay in, the Westin, is right across from Palais de Congrès, which is right in the center of the old city. And they have charging machines in there. They're Circuit Electrique. So you have to just make sure you get a Circuit Electrique card or app, download the app before you go there.
Cool. Thanks, Ron. Ron Wilson, he's from West Orange, and he displayed his ID4 in our Mailtown EV show during the Drive Electric Earth Day event. And I remember Ron, he also displayed back in 2019 in Somerset his Nissan Leaf Plus. So Ron, thank you so much for everything you do for electric vehicles. And I hope that we'll continue working together.
Oh, I was just going to add something to what Ron said about Cape May. The couple towns up from Cape May is Stone Harbor, and they have a level 3 charger that is right in their shopping district with a bunch of nice restaurants and everything. It's not the fastest charger, but because there's like stuff to do while you're charging, it's a nice like leaving Cape May on the way back up north place to stop.
Is it CHAdeMO?
It's got CHAdeMO and it's got CSS.
Okay.
Sorry, I always say that wrong.
Is it one of those 24, 25 kilowatt chargers?
It's one of those
50
ones that's like the
50
Charging Institute.
Mhm.
Actually, the one in Stone Harbor wasn't going to go, and I've used it. It was 50 kilowatts, but it's been taken over, I think, by someone else, and they were also fixing the parking lot. So as of, I'm just taking a quick peek. The hardware had been, basically disabled for probably about 4 months now. So just check before you go there. And if you don't wind up getting that one, if it's not working, the nearest fast charger, at least if you don't drive a Tesla, is a little further back is Green Life Energy Solutions, which is way back in Egg Harbor Township. So just be aware of the Stone Harbor. I'm not sure if it's up and running at this point, but it was nice and convenient if when it was running.
Oh, that's a good note because that's my go-to down there.
It's the only one that's going to be everyone's go-to if you happen to be heading to Cape May, and it's not reliable just yet.
Great. Do we have other stories? Anybody else wants to pitch in? If not, we can go to the next point, which is the chair report. And Tracey, did you after insert any slides, or you want to just give a verbal?
You know what? I didn't put in any slides, but I do have up on my my screen. If I can share, I have the slides from the
yes, yes. Let me give you more. Make co-host. I suppose that it should give you the access. Can you share?
Yeah, let me just pull up the right screen here. Sorry. I did have this open, just prepared for this moment, but now I can't find it for some reason. 1 second.
No problem.
Well, so just to, while I'm looking for it, I'll just say that the summit, we had an EV session, and nothing that I did, but the two panelists from BPU and from Department of Environmental Protection did a great job and really brought a bunch of new information, including details on the new bill for EVs that's up. It just got the newest news that I've heard about that is that it just got approved by both of the
chambers.
I'm not sure what you call it at the state. Yeah, the chambers of the state legislature, and is going to the governor's desk. And so let's all keep our fingers crossed on that. We're hoping that that will come through. And one of the things that I wanted to pull up on the screen for you is that one of the speakers, Andrea, oh, here it is. Okay, hang on. Andrea Friedman from DEP gave an overview of what's in that bill, and it was really informative. Let me just pull. Here we go.
Was it the advanced truck rule?
No, this is the one that has provisions for municipal ordinances about EV charging, and it has a lot of good stuff in it. But it changes some of the things that we know and recommend about EV ordinances. So that's, and these are literally Andrea Friedman slides. So I'd encourage you, and I'll put a link in the chat at the end of, as soon as I can get the links up, that so you can hear Andrea talk about it herself. But just to show you a couple of the slides that she presented, she talks about how this bill that is before, that just got passed by the chambers of the state legislature, talks about the zoning and permitting standards, and it makes EV charging an allowed use in all zones, allowed accessory use in all zones, which is something that, Sustainable Jersey until now had asked towns to make ordinances about. It also has a number of required chargers for, or charger ready spots for new construction of different types. And there's going to be a model ordinance that's going to be published by DCA as part of this. And then, here's some of the other things that are in that legislation, that the review is just for the accessory structure and is not, you don't have to do a permitting review. And so there's different things that are going to come out of the final version of this. And of course, Sustainable Jersey is going to have to amend the actions that we have to address this new rule once it gets passed. Again, this has been passed through both of the chambers of the legislature, but hasn't been signed by the governor yet. So it has a lot of new details, and I really recommend, if you're interested, that you watch the video of that webinar where Andrea Friedman from DEP goes over all the details of that. You can see here some of the new multifamily rules, and she really talks about that. And then in the Q&A at the end of the webinar, she answers several questions about it. And Kathleen Lewis from BPU also talks about those the new things that BPU has coming too. Yeah, the new
ChargeUp New Jersey. Yeah, I will talk about that. Yeah.
Yeah. So the other thing to know, and I'll stop sharing, and I will put the link to that webinar in the chat, is that we have another webinar at Sustainable Jersey coming up later this month. It's either on the 22nd or 23rd. I'm trying to set the date now. And this will be about adding EVs to municipal and school district fleets. There's new funding available for mid and heavyweight equipment in some parts of the state for things like electric buses and trash trucks and that kind of thing. So we're going to have a webinar to talk about adding electrifying the fleet. So we'll, you'll see advertisements for that come up soon.
I think it's up to 4,000 for up to 2 vehicles, something like that.
Well, that's the BPU Clean Fleet funding.
Oh, I'm mixing
and that
it
is
up.
That's for sedan vehicles, or so for sort of normal
Passenger
cars,
vehicles,
we'll call them.
yes.
Yeah. And this is actually for mid and heavyweight vehicles. It's quite a bit more money per vehicle.
Oh,
it's up to 100,000 depending on what type of vehicle it is, but it's for municipalities that are located in a certain range of Camden and Newark. And also their private fleets or commercial fleets are eligible as well. But even we're going to be talking about, how you can look at the usage pattern of a vehicle to see if it would be cost effective to replace it with an EV. Because, those larger EVs are very expensive. So it takes a little bit of study to know if it's the right thing to do.
Yes.
And
you want to make the good calculation for the total cost of ownership.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's what's coming up. And I'll put the link to that really highly recommended that you scan through at webinar that we had as part of the Sustainable Jersey Summit.
Great. Thank you, Tracy. I also attended that session, and it was very informative. Yes. Okay. Let me reshare my screen. Which one it is? I'll just do the whole screen. So so just like Tracy mentioned that Kathleen Lewis from BPU was talking about the ChargeUp New Jersey new proposal for the fiscal year 2020 for the fiscal year 22. A few days later, I think a week later, was a straw proposal meeting, and so was public hearing. And during the public hearing, Kathleen went through some information about the results of the prior year. So here on this slide, you can see what type of vehicles received incentive. And on the left side, you can see that most of the vehicles were BEVs, and only 3.4% were plug-in hybrids. Speaking of makes, then not surprisingly, 82.9% were Teslas, followed by Chevy, 6%. And then Hyundai was also 6%. Then a little bit of a Toyota. Nissan was about 1%. Kia and other. So mostly Tesla. And here is a specific breakdown. So number one was Model Y, 44%, then Model 3, 39%, then nothing, right? And then it was from Chevy, it was actually Bolt. And from Hyundai, there were two vehicles, right? Ioniq Electric and Kona. Ioniq was actually much better selling versus Kona. And I suppose the only reason will be probably the battery fires. Interestingly, Kia Niro EV, which is like a sister of Kona Electric, was much worse. And you know, everything below 1% is niche. It's nothing pretty much. So total was 6,914. But now that number includes only vehicles that people applied for the rebate, which means that it doesn't include people who missed the time. It was open between January 17th, 2020 to December 15th, 2020. And it also doesn't include vehicles that are not eligible, that are priced more than 55,000. So that's Model S, Model X, Porsche Taycan, Audi e-tron, Jaguar I-Pace, and Polestar. Although I don't think Polestar is that highly popular. And of course, some Model Ys, of course, because if you spec it higher up, then you can easily go outside of the bracket of 55 grand. So now another chart is percent of incentives by county, right? So it follows the income. The most was in Bergen County, followed by Middlesex, Monmouth, right? The beaches, Morris County, Essex, etc. The least was in South Jersey, like Salem, Cumberland, but also Warren, right? Which is North Jersey. Camden is somewhere in the middle. So there was also a question, what should be the incentive for plug-in hybrids? Because they constitute such a small percentage. Plus, they don't get as much funding because it's calculated per mile of electric range. So most battery electric vehicles, as long as they have 200 miles, they receive the maximum. But plug-in hybrids, you know, like Toyota Prius Prime, right? 25 miles. I mean, it's what, $600, right? So they were asking opinion. I didn't really have much of an opinion to say. Actually, based on the law, plug-in hybrids are not supposed to receive an incentive after 2022. So what's the deal? Of course, dealership association, Appleton, he said, yeah, I want to have $1,500. Yeah, sure. Keep dreaming. So this is another wording. I think Tracey maybe mentioned that in 22, NJBP used US DOE funding for a pilot program to provide 4,000 incentives for BEVs up to 2. Okay, this is what I was talking about. Yeah. And 1,500 for a level 2 charger to government entities. Straw proposes to expand the Clean Fleet program utilizing SBC funding in fiscal year 22. The Clean Fleet program would be available to the following local and state government entities: municipalities, local schools, commissions, state agencies or boards, state commissions, universities, state universities, community colleges, and county authorities. So yeah, more money for electric vehicles. That's great. Now, some information was missing. And specifically, when they want to calculate what will be the incentive for this year and then any coming year, there should be some calculations, some projections to show. And particularly in relation to the goal. The goal is to have 330,000 total EV registrations by 2025. And today we have about 38,000, 39,000. That's not too much. And in 2020, the total sales count, which, by the way, I had to estimate because I was not able to receive that number from anyone. I just gave an estimate to about 8,700. I got numbers for the first 6 months. And so based on that, I was doing the estimate. And as well to explain the strategy, how they want to determine it. I mean, what's the goal? To target the lower middle income, or to prefer vehicles that are more advanced, or so this is my chart based on the data that we have. The actual, so these are sales in electric vehicle. No, these are electric vehicle registrations in New Jersey. Everything up to 2020, the little part here, that's what we have. And this is where we have to go by 2025, which means that in average, we have to have 71.5% year-on-year increase versus the prior year. So this chart is assuming exponential growth, right? 71%, that's a lot. We got in history in New Jersey, more than 70% only in 2012 when most electric vehicles came on board, because versus 2011, that's big increase. Then in 2013, when Model S became widely available. Then in 2016, when Model X was available. And then in 2018, when Model 3 became available, we got year-on-year increase 100% back then, right? But now we need to reach 330,000. So based on that, and based on the cap of 30 million budget that the BPU has from the Society Benefits Fund, it needs to be diluted every year into more and more vehicles. So in this table, you can see the calculations. It's a kind of simple math, you know. So and on the third column is the cumulative sales. So we need to reach 330,000. And on in the last column is the average rebate. So actually in 2020, the average rebate was not anywhere close to 5,000 because some people were not able to reach it. Plus plug-in hybrids, they got abysmal support, $600, for example. So in average, it was maybe around 3,400. But this year, it should be around 2,000, which means that they cannot give $5,000 per vehicle. So what the suggestion was from BPU to have $5,000 for vehicles that are priced from 0 to 45,000 as a first tier, and the second tier from 45,000 to 55,000, drop it to 2,000. So, and in my opinion, if this is like that, it would be still exhausted very quickly. And you can see that for 2022, the average rebate would have to be 1,163. In 2023, $678. In 2024, only $395, and in 2025, $230. That's nothing, right? As you can guess, the biggest problem in selling electric vehicles are the dealers. So we need to have strong dealership support program. So I will not go into details. This is just my thinking about the dealership program. But just the last slide about what was happening during the meeting. So I proposed that it should be maximum $4,000 for up to 40,000 vehicles. Sorry, for the vehicles that have invoice up to $40,000. And then $2,000 for vehicles that are priced between 40,000 and 50,000. It's kind of guesswork, but it's much better to have a little bit lower support and make sure that the funding is not being exhausted before the end of fiscal year. Because when this happens, people stop buying electric vehicles and they are waiting for the next year. So it's like, you know, we are missing out on some more sales. So it's also important to set up the expectation, because some people who were waiting with Tesla purchase specifically, Tesla's got more expensive since the beginning of year because of the chip shortage, price increases, inflation, and whatnot. So today, what's in the air is about 2,000 for some of the base models of Tesla. So, you know, people are like, okay, you know, I could have just buy it in January and I would be even, you know, if not better. Those people who represented individuals, just drivers, they were asking for maximum rebate. Of course, you know, if you are waiting, you want to get the most out of it. There was Tesla guy, and he was complaining about the program consistency, pretty much what I was saying, but he was suggesting to give more incentive to high range EVs, of course, to Teslas. And he was also suggesting to outline decreasing rebate structure for coming years. Now, Jim Appleton from New Jersey Coalition of Automotive Retailers, or NJCAR, and everybody was supposed to have 3 minutes, and he was speaking for 9 minutes. So he was complaining a lot about BPU transparency, which I agree with. You know, they should show the results from 2020 much earlier, so that, you know, when you have public hearing, people want to kind of prepare based on the data. And so he was asking for higher budget, and specifically for higher budget now at the expense of the future. So it's kind of, you know, it's not the best approach, I would to say. And he was complaining a lot about Teslas. And then suggesting a 1,500 flat rebate for plug-in hybrids, because of course, no, who makes plug-in hybrids, right? Tesla doesn't have those. So ChargeEVC, Eve Gable, she was also presenting, and in the process of gathering, the ChargeEVC is in the process of gathering information from its members. I don't know what members, but anyway. And they also, she also reminded BPU that the law says 30 million is the minimum. If they find more money, they should put more money into the funding. Yeah. And she reminded that the rebate for plug-in hybrids is sunsetting by 2022. I think I spent a lot of time. Do you have any other questions? I mean, any questions?
And can I just clarify? So
Yes.
for 2021, is the rebate structure going to be different from when it was last year?
Oh yeah.
It will. Okay, so so they don't have much time. Isn't it supposed to start up in beginning of July?
Yes, yes. And as a matter of fact, people were asking, when exactly is it going to start? They were not able to say a specific date, because they say the budget, the state budget, has to be approved first. And when it gets approved, then the program can start.
But they don't even know what the structure is going to be yet, so they have some work to
No,
do.
that's why that had to draw a proposal, because they wanted to get public input. I think they got a message from social media and from, you know, people complaining, hey, you know, the first year was not ideal, you know. But part of the problem was that the first year when it was in place, the rebate worked as a post-purchase reimbursement. You would have to get a form, complete the form, send it to the state, and then after a few weeks, 2-3 weeks, you would get a check in mail. Now, when the program will be launched in July, that rebate will be applied at the point of purchase. This is what was promised, and now it will become real. So you go to the dealer, you make a purchase, you do the paperwork on spot, and they will withdraw the money from state right away. So you get discount at the point of purchase. Same with Tesla.
Were there thresholds of $40,000 when during the first phase of the program? I don't recall that being the case. Okay.
In the first phase, it was $5,000 cap for all vehicles up to 55,000 invoice.
Okay, that sort of limits the or cuts down the 4,000 or the max rebate for it limits it to about 4 or 5 electric vehicles that are currently on the market.
Well, there are lots of vehicles that have at least 200 miles and that are below 40,000. That's Hyundais, Chevy.
Yeah, those are going to be tough sells when you have vehicles starting at 39,000 that get you 250 miles of range. It just seems like, you know, that's where it's trending because the battery costs are going down. So I think they're sort of limiting the max, which is fine. Maybe that's a, you know, policy decision they can make,
Yeah.
but it's limited basically to the ID4, the Model 3 from Tesla, the Bolt EUV, and the new Bolt, which will start at the MSRP of 32,000.
Yeah.
So there's a very limited universe if you're looking at cars that are 200.
Yes, but you want to, the state, they have to make a decision, like, do we want to support, what's the goal of the program? Because in my opinion, it should be supporting the lower and middle income people. So the cheaper vehicles should be made even cheaper.
They'll be cheaper, but if that's the approach, I think, you know, we can take a lesson from, you know, places that are ahead of us when it comes to EVs, whether that's the European Union or China, particularly the European Union. If you look at the numbers this month out of Norway, we sort of boohoo the plug-in hybrids, but, you know, in Norway in May, electric vehicles made up 83% of sales of all cars. And when you look at that breakdown further, 60% of that was full electric and 40% was made up of plug-in hybrid. So if you count all cars with plugs, it was close to 83%. And it's sort of a 60-40 split between plug-in hybrids and fully electric. So if we sort of look at what we're seeing in other places, and if we're concerned with people with lower income getting cars, a lot of them will look at the plug-in hybrids because they're cheaper. So to the extent they're going to phase that out, and our goal is getting cars in those people's hands, either they're getting used cars or they're getting the plug-in hybrids in a lot of cases. So something to consider if the goal is to get those cars on the street.
So you would suggest to have more support for the plug-in hybrids?
I think you're going to have some support. I look at it as, look, we pay tax to the state and the federal government, right? And the federal government, you still get a $4,500 credit for even the Prius Prime. I had my second car as a Prius Prime. So to the extent the federal government's going to keep their $4,500 credit for those cars, then maybe that's enough because they start off at a lower price point than the fully electrics. So you can piggyback off that and say, fine, we'll let the feds take care of that and the state will save the money that we're giving out in New Jersey for fully electric vehicles. That's fine. But I think that if you want to, you know, given the cars that people with lower income are going to target, you probably want to keep some amount of money for the plug-in hybrids.
There's another incentive though. Okay, I think it's the incentive they use in Norway. Forget about all this stuff. Just raise the price of gasoline.
Wow.
Yeah.
Really? That's what happens there.
Well,
that's what I want. That's what I want.
Of course, because you want to.
Oil lobby here.
Yeah, it's not happening.
It's difficult because
No
you know, we wish, of course, those on the call, we wish, but the way how America works is just cheap gas, and I think it's a component of it. If now the gas costs close to $3, it already makes big difference. I think having it $3.50 or $4 is something that it's perfectly fine because we used to have this price in 2008. I remember those days. Gas was $4 per gallon. Prices went up, salaries went up, and we are paying still less than $3 after 13 years, right? So there is lots of room to increase the price of gas, yes. But we cannot go as far as Europe, unfortunately. The other thing that what Norway did, Norway inherently has heavy sales tax on all cars, which is like 50% of the price of the vehicle. And so what they did as a stimulus, they said, if you buy an electric car, you don't pay this sales tax. So, you know, you right off the bat, you don't pay the 50% extra. So this is a huge incentive. And I think that Norway has to rethink how they the last percentage of people to swing them into electric, then they are losing lots of income by not charging sales tax, right? So it's possible that they will have to kind of throttle back on this incentive. But definitely Norway is a country where we can just look up and get inspiration.
Yeah, and when you look at Norway, you also see a difference in sell figures. Tesla's 80% of the market here in the States, but in Norway, it's a completely different picture.
Yes.
A lot more competition, a lot more models, and I think the best-selling vehicles over the last year or this year to date, I'll say for 2021, have been a lot of Volkswagen Group models, the ID3,
ID3, yeah,
Skoda, Enyaq, and if you count the Audi e-tron as part of the Volkswagen Group, they sold a lot of cars.
Are you saying that Skoda they sell well, the electric versions?
Yeah, the Enyaq is selling in some countries in the European Union better than the ID3.
Where do they make the electric Skodas? In Czech Republic?
Czechoslovakia. The Czech Republic, I guess.
Wow. Well, they also make Hyundai Konas in Czech Republic, which is about 30 kilometers from the place where I was born.
And it's selling well. So, and then you also see, oddly enough, the Ford Mustang Mach-E is selling very well now that they're selling as many as they can get over there. So that was the best-selling electric vehicle this past month in Norway. So
yeah, really there are more brands in Europe. Renault Zoe,
yeah,
is one of those that sells in Europe, and it sells very well. And we don't have it here. And also another thing to stress out that because of the high gas price, people in Europe don't drive big cars. So when you transition to electric, it's much easier to transition because the batteries can be smaller, which makes the vehicles also cheaper and more efficient. Excuse me, whatnot. And people in the United States are waiting for the electric pickup trucks. So this is.
And it is also, getting your government behind you. When you stop and look at the fact that Tesla is about to open a factory in Austin or just outside of Austin, as well as a second factory, yet the Texas legislature still won't let, a buyer in Texas do a direct purchase of a Tesla. You have to actually still purchase out of state and bring it back into Texas. That sort of tells you where our policies are when it comes to support of electric vehicles, and not just Texas and others, Michigan.
We have Steve Breyer on the call, and last time he was reporting how in Louisiana, legislators managed to ban Tesla, not stores, but Tesla repair centers in the state. And they implemented $400 annual registration fee for all battery electric vehicles. And even for regular hybrids, it's over $200 per year. Is it something like that, Steve?
I think he had dropped off. I saw his
he already dropped
say that
off.
he left.
Okay.
Yeah.
But this is just insane. We have such a huge disproportional between different states. And I don't want to go into politics because I made this group promise this should be not political. But as you know, unfortunately, it is. So hopefully, the wave that we are experiencing today that is heavily pro-electric, I guess you guys heard that Biden administration is proposing $12,500 federal tax credit up to, which is pretty much the base is $7,500. If the vehicle is made in the United States, you have another $2,500. And if it's made in a factory that has unions, that's another $2,500, right? So for Tesla, it would be $10,000. I mean, $10,000 for Tesla. That would be, and guess what would happen? Tesla would experience substantial boost. I wish that other car makers would have it, but maybe they will. Definitely Ford will get lots of sales. The Mustang is a good proposal, and the coming Ford, obviously. But yeah, so lots of exciting things are coming up, and I hope that in the coming election years, we will have enough democracy so that we can retain this trend. Okay, enough. Shush.
Stan, can I bring up one thing totally not political, but going back to the New Jersey rebate
Yes.
for 1 second, just for a second. I don't know if anybody else has this concern or thought about it, and maybe I'm crazy, but I just want to hear what others feel. When I bought my Tesla last year, I filled out the form, I got the $5,000. Took a few months, worked great. Now Tesla, of course, there's no negotiation on price. That's what it is. Now, if we're going to go to price off the hood, right at the dealership,
Right.
Tesla is still the same situation, but the other dealers, anybody else, where you typically go in and have to negotiate a price off of the MSRP, who's going to really possibly take advantage of the situation? I think a dealer is going to give you less off because they're going to just promote that, and then they're going to, in essence, get that $2,000 or $4,000 or whatever it is, and probably not give you as much off of the MSRP because it's coming off the hood, the price. Just my feeling. Maybe I'm wrong, but there should be some controls in place some way. I don't know.
Well, I totally agree with you. And as essentially the idea about incentivizing dealers that I have is actually giving them straight the money. But not only that, but charging them for every gas car that they sell. That way, you don't rely on state budget, but you are essentially creating competition among dealers. Because the more gas cars you sell, the more you have to pay to the budget, and the more electric cars you sell, the more you get out of the budget. And it would not be one-to-one, right? Of course, we would have to charge much less for the gas cars because they sell most of them, and they would receive much bigger support when they sell electric car. So anyway, I'm already divulging my idea, but why not? If anyone from state is listening, hey, come on. Think about it.
I agree that the sort of somewhat of an equalizer in this process now is, we have the internet now, so you can sort of shop around for dealerships, even go out of state. So I know with the ID4, there were dealerships that inflated the price over MSRP, but I could always go online and find the dealerships who were not doing that. And so that sort of helps you a bit. And then also just more choices. I think one of the biggest obstacles to getting people to buy electric is just the cost. I mean, no matter, because some people can't even qualify for the full credit, but to the extent you can qualify for the credit, it'll be interesting for me. I think it'll be interesting to see, not that I'm a fan of the new Chevy Bolt, but the new Chevy Bolt gets you, I think it's 250 miles, roughly 249 miles of range.
258, yeah, 259.
Yeah. And so you're starting off at 32,000. If you get, and it's built in the United States, as far as I know, by union labor. So if you're getting 12,500 off that,
that's 20,000.
Yeah. And then you get, 4,000 from the state of Jersey because it qualifies for the
That's 16. Correct. And you don't pay sales tax.
And you don't pay sales tax. So a $15,500 electric vehicle that gets 250 miles of range, or a little more than 250 miles of range for that price, it'll be interesting to see whether that sells well, even though it's limited in charging speed. But like I said, the charging speed thing is really more of a issue for people like us who have experience with EVs. Those who are going to use it for a local car aren't going to care.
Isn't there also a supply and demand kind of dynamic going on here? If GM doesn't make enough of these to match the kind of demand, then
they have not been even trying to make enough of them.
Yeah,
let's put it this way.
That's part of the problem here, I think. So you can say, oh, well, Tesla shouldn't get it, but if they're the only ones who are willing to build enough electric cars to fill the demand, then I think it should go to Tesla. So.
Yeah, I mean,
that was the issue with the Kona as well. It wasn't the fires, because the Kia also, that didn't have the battery fires. Their batteries were made by SK Innovations, and they didn't sell. Well, they sold. They only made so many of them. So good luck trying to find one in New Jersey.
Yeah, buying a Bolt was an interesting experience. Well, first off, I would never buy one. I would only lease. Still, there's just too much stuff in flux to actually buy an EV.
My buddy just bought a 21 Bolt Saturday for $23,700.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, I have experience now with Smart, which is no longer being sold in the US. Okay. The Bolt 2017 or 17, which got recalled. Okay. And in both cases, I was leasing those vehicles. So I didn't care. It basically wasn't my problem. It was the dealership's problem. You know, they get the car back and do whatever they want with it. As far as I know, they're buying back Bolts because of the fires.
Yeah, and my concern with the Bolt, I think the price will be great for people who are not as enthused with electric cars as we are, but want the price to be important. But it's not getting their new battery, the Ultium battery pack. And so my concern with it is, will they sort of keep this here for a couple of years and then say, you know what, we're moving on? You know, the same thing that happened with the Chevy Volt. You know, when the Prius Prime came out, it started to eat some of their sales, and they ultimately got rid of a car that was better built, quite frankly, better performance, but it didn't have the creature comforts for the price that the Prius Prime had. So they basically, Toyota ate their lunch, and they ultimately got rid of the Chevy Volt. They canceled production of it. So right. I wonder if the Bolt's going to run into the same thing. Are they going to say, look, they're not giving it this new battery pack, so it's going to charge slower, and will they ultimately say, you know what, this isn't worth, you know, our time and effort? So that's my concern with the Chevy Bolt, and that's the same concern you'll have. Are they going to make enough of them? And for me, further, are they going to phase this out over the next couple of years?
But you're right about certain people are not that concerned about the charging. I still charge on a 110 outlet at my house. Takes 3 days to charge it up, but I don't care. Doesn't bother me. It's not like I have to, you know, get going. And if I do have to get going, I'll drive to a Stage 3 charger 5-10 minutes away and charge up. So
you are very lucky.
But it's not an issue for me. I realize it's an issue for a lot of people, but not for me.
Now, there are lots of people who rent apartment, who park their car on the street or on common shared parking lot, and they cannot lie down extension cord from their apartment loft and charge their vehicle even at 110 volts. And so this is discrimination that we are facing here. Even if you give them cheap electric vehicle, if they cannot charge it as they sleep,
right,
it's not going to cut the deal, because rapid charging stations for routine charging, it just takes too much time.
Well, one of the things I've done before I got access to these Stage 3 chargers that are around here, I'd walk down to the local Holiday Inn and use their destination charger and walk home. Go back to the next day and it'd be all charged up.
Okay, if you have it close, that's fine, but not everybody does.
Not everyone does. That's true.
Yeah.
But it's the most underused, you know, charger that I've ever seen at the Holiday Inn.
Yes, and that's part of it is because they have just one, right?
Well,
maybe two.
No, they have 4.
4. Okay, that's much better. But I've
I've never seen another car there except mine.
Well, I want to say that I remember those rapid chargers. There was a 1, right? And if you arrive and the 1 is either not working or is in use or it's blocked, you are out of luck.
Yeah, it's true.
Right? It's not like a superchargers. There are several in one location. And if 1, 2, 3 are used, that's okay. You just go to the next one.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
So
and
anyway,
you're worried about the apartment doors, but you also, you know, all of us, many of us, I'm sure, live in the burbs. Your neighbors still don't, who have garages, still don't have electric vehicles. And so the question is, you know, also, how are we reaching those folks who actually can afford the electric vehicles?
Yes, of course. And this is majority, about 2/3 of those folks. They have at least a driveway or garage, and they are not converting yet. So we need to reach out to these people first, because we cannot give electric vehicles to everyone at the same time. So when we ramp up the adoption, those people who can charge, those people who have at least driveway, they are the next on call to adopt. Anyway, I think we need to move on. So if we have more interest in this conversation, I will defer to later time. Okay, a quick announcement. New Jersey Green Amendment. what is it? It is a green amendments that are actually across the nation. There are self-executing provisions added to the Bill of Rights section of a constitution that recognize and protect the rights of all people, regardless of race, ethnicity, religion, or income, including future generations, to pure water, clean air, a stable climate, and healthy environments. So this is something that is now being pursued for New Jersey. Hit the link and act now. When you hit the link, there are also options how to get involved, the municipality, organizations, and nonprofit groups.
Yeah, you can definitely, try to get your town council to pass a resolution supporting that.
Exactly.
Glenrock did that recently. It doesn't cost anything. As long as there's a little bit of will to do it, it definitely sends a strong message to the state that we're ready for it and we want to support it.
And we have the right composition in the Congress, so we can actually pass it. Events planning. Josh, are you still on call?
I am, yes. Actually, I was getting really tired, but also I didn't want to leave because I love hearing this discussion from you guys.
Yeah.
So it was really cool. Love that you guys are have these sessions.
So tell us, what is the plan for Sustainable Princeton?
Yeah, so I am, my name is Josh, and I am actually new to Sustainable Princeton, which is a nonprofit in Princeton, New Jersey, that works very closely with the municipality and other community stakeholders, implementing sustainability initiatives all over town. And last October, so I wasn't here for this, but they organized, along with partners, NRG Energy and the Princeton Shopping Center, an EV ride and drive event that featured
yeah, we participated.
You participated there? Okay,
yes.
So some of the folks on this were there. That's fantastic. So that it was a pretty good turnout even for the middle
we
of the
were
pandemic.
We were very lucky that we got dealerships on board. We got few dealerships who provided vehicles for test driving, and Tesla was participating.
Yeah. So the plan is to, I'm going to drop this just into the comments. I typed this up in case I had to leave. But here's a link for folks who weren't at the past event. So some of the event information from the last event. And essentially we're trying to go bigger than we did last year. So to build off some of the success, hopefully have some more participation from dealers and even more participation from other electric mobility e-bikes. Reached out to some local motorsports equipment. We're going to try to have a Zero motorcycles there, some Segway dirt bikes. Trying really hard to have gotten in touch with some media folks at Rivian, since they've announced that they are doing drive events. So I'll keep harassing them until they say that they'll bring a Rivian.
You are going to the next level. We didn't contact Rivian yet.
So, and we might try, we're trying sort of all other avenues to try to get maybe some kind of real showstopper corporate.
I
if we
believe
could get a Rivian.
You want to also have electric lawn equipment, right?
So we might have definitely the opportunity to expand some of the other electrification, vendor and education opportunities. So we did an event with electric battery powered landscaping equipment, and we probably will include a table for some of that. But yeah, one thing that we thought was to add more of an EV car show component to it. If there were enthusiast networks to tap into. I think that at the last event, some folks did bring sort of just to showcase their own personal cars that weren't part of the drive event, but to maybe enhance that element of the car show in a little bit of a different way. And that's something that we would obviously need, assistance and support from you guys to help pull off. But at the start of the call, it sounds like there's could be 4 days in a row of EV car shows, October 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th.
That
So
would
yeah,
not
just
be
one.
that would not be a first time. We used to have pre-pandemic 4 or 5 events in one weekend,
Oh, cool.
overlapping.
Well, if it would be fantastic if you want to help kick that off in October
Yeah.
in Princeton.
Thank you, Josh, and we'll definitely put it on our calendar. I also recall that you were suggesting to arrange for EV show, which would be actually kind of historical EVs, which in the realm of contemporary electric vehicles, we would be talking about vehicles that were built, let's say, before 2014,
Yeah.
like 2010, 11, 12, which would include definitely Tesla Roadster.
Yeah, we
But
thought that would just
also,
be a cool element to, prize for oldest EV, prize for highest mileage EV, just to sort of get some of the public who is maybe being introduced to EVs for the first time with some of the new dealers to see sort of the historic arc of EVs as far back as we can take it.
but you were talking about separate event for that, right?
This would be a part of this ride and drive event, but yeah, it would be one side of the
Also, you are
Princeton
talking
Shopping
about
Center
the
parking
same
lot.
date.
Yeah, same day, to just sort of have this as a full-on EV showcase.
Josh, do you have any hard numbers on the number of people that you had at the event last year?
Yeah, estimated between 250 and 300.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think that they had there was some pre-registration just to gauge, and I think there was close to 200 pre-registered, and then day of counting estimate between 250 and 300. So
Yeah, but we are talking about hardcore pandemic event. So I think that now in October, we will have different story because people do not have to register anymore, I suppose, right?
Yeah, I don't know if we'll do some kind of registration again, we might do something like that just to be able to gauge some interest, but we're just starting the planning for this. Yeah, I think that was done obviously to really gauge pandemic, planning.
Okay, and we have your contact information, right?
Yes,
I do.
Okay, cool.
Okay, Peter Fried, I think he's not on the call. He's got very nice show in April. So if there is more interest, we can definitely put something together. Peter, actually, he was very lucky in reaching out to many dealers. He got lots of dealers participation, more than us actually in April. Jason, do you have anything going on in Tesla Owners Club? Are you still on call? I think the next meetup that it's just for us, it's not a really show. This group, they have in-person meetings every second Saturday in a month. So in June, that would be, if I'm not mistaken, June 12th. We met, few of us in May, second Saturday in May. It was cloudy and then later it was a little bit rainy, but it was great meeting. Few people, we were chatting. Not everybody came with Tesla like myself, So it's not like if you don't come with Tesla, they will kick you out. But so yeah, thanks, Josh. He has to sign off, so thank you. Dorian, she was talking about Milltown. She's not on the call. And Kathy, Kathy. I think we wanted to do EV parade, but this is not something we can do anytime soon. And also Duke Farms. I also got an idea about, maybe it's kind of late now, but Plug-in America is having awards for this and that, and this specific award is for outstanding dealers. So I was thinking that what if we create a program that we would award the best dealer every year or something, and just give them a plaque, or something, whatever they are holding on this picture. And I was thinking that we could partner with the North Jersey EV Club, with the South Jersey EV Club. I put question mark next to the Delaware Tesla Owners Club because, why would Tesla owners be interested in giving award to dealers who are cursing Teslas, not liking Teslas? Anyway, I was just, speaking out loud this. And RideWise is our good partner. Maybe they would be also interested. So what do you think? Does it make sense to create a program like that?
I'm thinking about it, and I think if we had a volunteer who was willing to take the time, I think it could be a lot of effort. I mean, just trying to get metrics on different.
Well, the metrics,
like how would you collect them?
Yeah, the metrics would be based on our system. Essentially, we would have call to all dealers, and they would submit applications. They would complete a form. It would be like this model, that many vehicles, this model, that many vehicles. And in this way, we would actually obtain interesting data. So, and whoever would submit the highest number, we would give them an award.
Yeah, but how many people have actually had a good experience with dealerships?
Well,
I know I haven't, and I've been to a lot of them.
The whole purpose of this is to actually stimulate them, to tell them if you sell plug-in electric cars, you will receive acknowledgement. You will, because the state is giving you nothing, right? So we at least will give you diploma, or plaque, and saying, hey, you've got this award because.
So this would be strictly on numbers of vehicles sold.
Oh, yes.
And you have to actually submit the application and submit your numbers in order to be considered. So
yeah,
I don't know how many would do that.
Well,
is that information publicly available? I mean, are they going to be? I mean,
well, if you want to get award, then you have to submit. Of course, those dealers who don't feel they have high numbers or who don't care about selling electric vehicles, they would submit nothing. Chances are we are going to receive 10% submissions from all the dealership in New Jersey. But it's just to make them think, make them act, make them be more enthusiastic about electric vehicles. I mean, when you think about it, the whole reason why Tesla is so successful, because they were able as a brand to create the excitement about electric vehicles, right?
Well, I have one thing I want to say.
Yes.
If you purely based on sales number, it will be very unfair because different vehicle has different price point and different markets, right? Actually, we want the dealers. So a lot of time is really the customer. I want the EV, I go there and buy it. And even those salespeople, they have no idea what they're selling. Okay, we're kind of going and educate the salesperson a lot of time. So rather, I would like to see if the dealership really put into effort of trying to promote EV, right? So they train their employees for EVs, or they do some kind of program to train them and try to promote the EV. That's what we should target for, not really how many cars they sell.
The program to educate a dealership staff, it is already in place by Plug-in America using the PlugStar program. So we should not be kind of eating into this this cake. It's in New Jersey specifically, it's being executed by Tom Malagany. And it's lots of work if we want to oversee education of dealerships, but just give them a word. But no, thank you for your, I will think about it, what you are saying. Yes, definitely.
I agree with Anthony that it probably shouldn't just be based on sales. Maybe sales is a part of it, of course, but if there are other ways that we could have metrics, I think it would be super helpful. When I bought, well, leased, I'm sorry, my 2018 Volt, the person I met with was a former Volt owner. He knew everything about that car, which is so unusual. And somebody like that should be possibly rewarded for that.
Okay.
And I ended up leasing.
Okay, so what we can do, we can have a form and it will have different buckets and they would receive points for this, and for that. And then overall, they will receive a score. How about that?
If you're going to mail that to every car dealership in New Jersey, that's going to cost you a fortune.
No, we are not mailing. We are emailing. This is going to be Google form.
Okay.
This is going to be Google form. And when people, dealers respond, it will be populated into Google Sheet file and we'll have everything perfectly lined up.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, most of them are just going to ignore you, but that's fine. You
The
know
cost will be printing out the certificate of
Okay.
of achievement, and maybe the framing will be the biggest deal. We have to find some sponsors, you know.
8, 10. Yeah, that's nothing. That's no money at all. Yeah.
Good.
Personally, with my experience with dealerships, is that in most cases, the dealerships either know nothing about the car and are selling it, or you're connected to an EV specialist. Like it even varies dealer by dealer. Like I went to Ford to look at a Mach-E, and the dude, I knew more about the car than he did. And I went to Volkswagen to look at an ID4, and I ironically was paired with the electric specialist. And then at the same time, you could also consider their own adoption to electric. Like some dealerships will have even a smallest thing, like having a charger at their dealership that's accessible and that
they
works,
would definitely get
also a
points
good
for
one too.
that. And they would get different amount of points for level 2 charger and for a rapid charger.
Yeah, but how about if they're like a dealership that I went to that has this great level 2 charger set up in a bay that gets closed at night, you can't get to it, and during the day you can't get to it because it's a bay they use for repairs.
Patrick, you are exactly talking about the itemization.
Right. Okay.
I'm recording it and I'll be writing it down.
Even the easiest thing to do is even to just look at the plug share score, because people will report.
Well, but using plug share means that somebody has to actually do this independently, because we want to rely on the dealership only completing the form to make it simple for us.
Like,
the moment
it's iced, it doesn't work.
Yeah, well, okay, interesting. Yeah, we'll think
Another thing,
about it.
Stan, we could add to the list would be, have they actually had a electric car displayed inside their showroom? You know,
Exactly, or in front of the
dealer by
showroom.
me has never had a Volt or a Bolt in their showroom, but I know our local VW dealer has had an ID4 there since early April in their showroom.
Yeah, they even have like a little stand for it. They even have a charger inside, like stuff like that. Yeah.
But isn't the problem they don't make enough profit off of EVs compared to ICE cars?
Of course, but the point is, like Stan is saying, it's just, you know, those who are willing to do it, those who are willing to do a little bit more, you know, we give them an award. You know, there's lots of reasons why they don't do it.
Okay.
To even go back on the topic, how someone mentioned earlier that, well, not to branch off too much, but someone branched off earlier that the incentive would de-incentivize dealers to discount their vehicles. When I went to go look at a Hyundai Ioniq, the dealer was showing me the lease rebate of $10,000 and acting like that was everything that they were giving. And, you know, with some of the dealer that I got my Nissan from, they were very easy to discount the car, like even things like that, like the dealer standing.
Yes. Okay, cool. What do we got next? Oh, another idea, but maybe I just skip it. There's so much interest in fielding electric school buses, and we have this Sustainable Jersey program. And I was thinking, and I did suggest it to the administration for Sustainable Jersey, that they should add points for electric school bus show. It might be a little bit tedious to find electric school bus to have it displayed, but when we start having them in the state, then those districts that are lucky that they receive funding to buy some, they should be kind of mandated to have it available for other districts to show, so that other districts can, touch it, feel it. Hey, how is it? How does it work? And just make more awareness. So that would be another opportunity.
Have I mentioned the MEEP program to you guys, the MEEP? It's a program where you apply, and it's, they're still taking applications, and they bring a level 2 charger to your school district and install it. And then they bring an electric bus for a period of time, and they literally do like routes, at the school district with the EV bus. And then when they're done, the school district gets to keep the level 2 charger for workplace charging. And it's through I think it's Clean Community funded, but that program's still open. And it kind of has a lot of those components that you were just talking about.
Is it the program that is advertised by Chuck Feinberg?
Probably, because it is a Clean Communities thing. I have
Yeah.
a link about it. Let me dig that up and I'll put it in the chat.
I've seen his presentation about it, and I think it's paid service that the districts, they have to pay to lease those these buses for a certain amount of time. Am I right?
Not this grant. This one it's literally a grant program, and you get the level 2 charger as an incentive to.
Okay, I missed that information probably.
But there are a lot of requirements to participate, and I think there is a little bit of competitiveness to it. Like, I don't think, we were talking about it I was talking with the guy at our district who does the bus contracts, and he just wasn't convinced he was a good fit, because it's like he would have to cooperate with the bus company that they have the contract with, and the timing of the contract didn't really work out. Would mean that they wouldn't really have any control over whether they'd be able to actually finally do the electric bus part. So and where would the charger go, in order to use it for the bus? If the bus isn't actually at the school, then where they would just, it seemed like it just wasn't a great fit.
Well, it definitely is not a problem. It's not a program with no overhead in terms of intellectual time and everything like that.
Yeah.
That's why they have to give you a level 2 charger to kind of, make it worth the.
I suppose that the level 2 charger would be located wherever the bus is garaged, so it doesn't have to be necessary at the school.
Right, and I mean, they do the district does own a few buses that they use for field trips and things, and they have a place where they park them, but they wouldn't meet the criteria for what the program wants to do. The program wants the bus to be used every day to shuttle students back and forth, and that's not going to work, because those buses aren't used that way. So so they put the charger at the company, where the company keeps the buses. Maybe I don't know. It seemed like it was complex.
Yeah. Okay. So Tracey, thank you for pitching in, because that's actually your your field, and thank you for responding to those emails, and including Nancy in those emails. Next one, webinars. Okay, that's blank. But this is calendar for from the Electric Auto website for other chapters. You can see that Plugzio is rocking it with other chapters. So try it, electric vehicle Electric Vehicle Association North Carolina. They will be in 3 days. Then Texas, North Texas. The same day, I don't know who is organizing it, but if you go to electricauto.org and hit the event link, for all of these, you will get all the details, how to register, how to log in and stuff. All of these are virtual. Oh, I have 2 slides on that. That's why I was confused. Yeah.
Hey, Stan,
Westfield.
since you're on that slide again, you know, I noticed Princeton's event last year was on a Friday, and this year also, October 1st, it's going to be on a Friday. The events that I've organized or been to have been on weekends. Any thoughts about, you know, the advantages of a Friday versus a weekend?
I think the Friday is more driven that sustainable Princeton is it's a group that has paid employees and they just prefer to have it on weekday. And it is in the afternoon. So it is assuming that when people are done for the week, they may have available afternoons.
So like late in the afternoon, like
yes, and
4 or
evening. It
something?
goes all
One
the
of
way to the evening.
As someone who has planned a number of events, I would say that the disadvantage to doing it during the week is if you want people to come from different parts of New Jersey, they will not be able to get there in traffic during the week. You know, so you're going to be relying on a smaller pool of cars that are in the immediate area or super dedicated people. If you plan something on the weekend, then you're much more likely to get people coming in for the day from other parts of Jersey.
Yeah.
Well, and it's meant to be a local event because it's organized by Sustainable Princeton, so they want to get local people.
It may be easier to get dealers, I'm thinking. I know that we had an event on a Sunday, and
Saturday is disaster to get dealers.
Saturday is difficult because they're super busy.
Yes.
And Sunday, at least in Bergen County, they're closed. But Tesla was willing to come. They brought somebody actually, and it worked out well. But other dealers, I don't know if they would do that. So I'm trying to figure out what's the best day to do. If you want dealers to come.
I think it's really about what volunteers you can get during the week. If you can get enough local volunteers,
so
that's fine.
I mean, speaking of us, we always are available, you know, one volunteer or another, there'll be always some, but Westfield, that Saturday, they may have problems with the dealers because they want to have dealers as well.
Yeah.
Well, I know I've talked to the people that were planning our show, and the consensus is from people who've done this a lot. If you go on a traditional car show, if you go on a Sunday, you're going to have the biggest turnout. Now, it may be tough getting dealers to bring their, you know, electric cars, but the ones I've talked to, they were pretty open to it. And this was last year when the pandemic was, you know, shut everything down. But, you know, just prior to that, yeah, we want to come, blah, blah, you know.
Dealers on a Sunday?
Yeah. Hopefully this year I get the same result.
But
we had to shut down because of the pandemic, and Tesla said, look, corporate won't let us come. Okay. But one of the guys talked to his manager and said, can I bring my car? And they let him do it. Well, we canceled the show, but, you know, they let him do it. So, you know, just the experience from the people who's done a lot more of this than I have. But we're talking about a traditional car show, adding electric cars to it.
Yes, and there are tons of classic car shows in New Jersey, including the regular one, which is always in Linden, which I never had a chance to go, but I know that Jason, he goes there frequently. I mean, I know that in the past there were some images. Yeah,
I think that what they need at the Linden show is they need the new models there. So if, you know,
I cannot arrive with my 2015 Nissan Leaf, essentially.
Yeah, like Ron,
Not
Ron,
even
if you
with
want to
my
bring your
Bolt.
ID4 there, they'll be super happy, you know,
Yeah.
to get an ID4 there. And same thing with all the car shows. You know, it's good to have the really cool new models there. You know, if you come up with, honestly, like even if you show up with the Tesla Model 3, you know, they've probably seen them. You know, it's not you know,
new
it'll be
anymore.
appreciated, but it's not even like that new or exciting. It's like those new models are the ones that, you know, we need. Like those are what we really need at the car shows.
Well, that's for the enthusiasts. You know, for the general public, I don't think they're that nuanced about.
Right.
You know.
Right, but it's great to have like at least a couple of new snazzy things, you know, to get people's attention. And then you have the people who just, you know, have the cars every day, you know, that people talk to, right? So, but if you can get a way to get them in the door, kind of talking to people, that's great. And particularly in Linden, because, you know, like Sal's there every week, you know, so whatever car, the regulars there, you know, the people who go there normally, they've seen them, you know, so you need to change it up a little bit there.
We had earlier today Lois Kraus from Westfield, but we lost her. But we could have maybe chat about Westfield. But I think we have the contact. They want to have a 30-minute conversation sometimes early next week or so. Alex, do you think you could find 30 minutes, or shall we meet without you and brief you later?
Yeah, I mean, let's just set something, and then if I ends up I can't do it, then, you know, you guys can do it without me. But
okay, I just don't want to. I don't want to look like that we are not interested, you know. So,
right.
Okay. Good. So again, physical meeting joined with the Delaware Valley Tesla Owners Club, East Brunswick Supercharger, Saturday, June 12th. And our next meeting.
Wait, hold on a second,
yes.
Stan, before you move on from events. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about additional event planning coming up this summer. So I did, you know, one of the best type of events to be at are the street fairs. And I've done a search, and like nobody's doing street fairs this summer. Like it's really hard to find anybody doing street. They all seem to be starting up in September. So we can talk about street fairs later, like closer to the end of the summer. But the car shows are going on this summer. So
classic car shows, right?
Yeah, classic car shows.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
I think what I'll do is I'll contact a few of these, and I just wanted to get kind of a sense from everybody whether or not they'd be willing to do car shows this summer in some of these locations.
I would definitely support that. And I think that East Brunswick that we did last fall, they will, if they already didn't start, they would definitely resume. They have it regular, on a regular basis, every other week or something, very often.
Okay, so just as first of all, would anyone here be willing to go to a show in Red Bank that costs $15 to register your vehicle? Like, would you guys be willing to do that? Or if should I focus on free events? I don't know if anyone wants to kind of raise their hand or.
Yeah, $15 not cost prohibitive. If there's going to be an audience there and we can sort of push electric cars, I know for me, I'd show up and pay $15 if it's going to convince somebody to consider an electric vehicle.
Well, what do you get for your $15? Can you win a trophy because you got the hottest whatever? Yeah, that's typical in those traditional shows. Right.
Yeah. I mean, it's rare that we win trophies of that nature, unless they're specifically expecting, you know, something in that category. You know,
right. Yeah. You have categories. Right.
Right. But you know, my feeling is, you know, my time is so much more valuable than $15. So if I'm willing to sit somewhere for 4 hours and talk to people, then $15 is like nothing to me. Right. But I didn't know if other people in the group
This is very important consideration, right? Because we are donating time, which is more valuable than $15. So if somebody needs, in addition to our time, $15, okay, screw it. I'll give them 15.
There you have it. Stan just offered to pay for anyone who wants to come to this car show.
Interesting you picked $15 because that's exactly what we're charging for our car show.
There you go. So, okay. So anybody feel strongly that we shouldn't focus energies on
I think
anything
if
that
we
asks
have
for money?
already some people saying they're open to it, I would just have it available.
Okay.
And clearly disclose, hey, this event you have to pay, and we are not reimbursing. Unfortunately, yeah.
So there are there's the Livingston 27th Auto Fest, July 4th. There is the Liberty Hose Red Bank Firefighter Car Show on the July 11th. There's the Texas Roadhouse Car Show in Holmdel on July 15th. And then the Hot Rods and Harleys in Rahway and 9 in September 18th. So those are 4 that I found that were in our basic Central Jersey area. There are other ones down by the shore and further up north.
Did you check up the East Brunswick?
That one is going on all the time, right?
I just make that assumption.
Yeah. So there's that one in Linden are kind of all the time. So we just want to pick, if we all just want to like pick one of those days and just try to show up in force, that might be kind of cool too.
That'd be cool.
Yeah. I'd be willing to do that.
So maybe we'll throw that in August somewhere. Okay.
Ron, maybe you can do one of the Linden events. I think that on Monday. Which Mondays? Somebody can pitch
I
in?
don't have it in front of me.
But I know that it's Monday.
Yeah, just let me know when. If that can be pushed around in an email or something, I'll gladly show up. Linda's not far from me. I can get there whenever.
Okay, cool.
The more north, the better for me.
They did have other car shows up north. I noticed there were probably 2 or 3 people on this call who are more up north. I mean, I probably wouldn't make those, but I can forward you guys that info.
The 2 biggest ones are the Clifton Car Show and Dead Man's Curve. Those are the 2 mega, Clifton Car, take over the whole town.
Clifton isn't that far. I mean,
No.
Right? That's not that far.
No.
From Central Jersey. I mean, maybe it's not Central Jersey, but it's not that far.
No, it's not. Dead Man's Curve is way up north, though.
Yeah, Clifton's not far from me. Is there the thought that there would be an electric component to that?
There isn't that I know of. I talk with the people who are setting that up. I'll ask them. Okay.
I would go there. I would definitely go there if there's going to be an electric. Even if there's 5 vehicles there.
Okay.
Have a.
How do I get back to you guys? I'll ask about it because I know the people organizing.
Yeah, you can talk to me and I'll route the information.
Okay.
Okay, good.
Okay, I put my contact information down in the chat along with the link to this show.
Okay.
I think you are on our mailing list. So.
Okay. Yeah, that's how I got to this. Okay. Yeah, I'll find out about that and get back to you. The other gigantic show is the Military Transport Association, the whole weekend. They actually charge the attendees, the audience, to go to that show. So I don't think I'm going to be going to that, but because they're competing against me.
Where is it?
It's way up in Sussex. It's way north. They take over a whole county park for 3 days. But it's not electric. It's just it's military vehicles.
We don't have them electric yet. Anyway, before I forget, I wanted to discuss whether we should switch to in-person meetings. And to this account, I spoke with Caleb Cohen, who is helping us, who helped us before pandemic to get a room in Funwood, which was part of a municipal building or something in a park. Funwood Township is not opening yet. So if we are talking about July meeting, it's not going to happen yet. I also spoke with, asked Dorian. She's in connection with the Milltown Senior Citizen Center. I didn't hear back from her yet, but it looks like July will be still virtual. Yeah,
that's fine. I actually, I think for some of us, it's a lot easier to get.
It
here
is
virtually.
easier, but you know, and at least if we have the opportunity to join the Delaware Valley Tesla Owners Club, it's the casual encounter that all of us need. So you know, if whoever is available on that June 12th, just you know. But our next meeting will be July 7th. I kind of pushed it half an hour later for 7 p.m. It looks like when the days are longer, it's more difficult to get back home and do something. So yeah, if you know of any interesting speakers, let me know. If you know interesting topic, tips and tricks, let me know. EV shows that's ongoing, we discussed that. Webinars, let me know. And if do we have any other comments? We are getting close to 2 hours now, so I just don't want to keep everyone hostage.
I gotta go.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So thank you very much, and I wish you a wonderful June. I wish you a wonderful 4th of July, which will be soon. Some counties, some towns will be kind of open. The Franklin Township, definitely, we will have fireworks. So thank you. And I'm just stopping the recording.